Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, The Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
So I had really wanted to talk about self-love today, and Stephen used the word devotion, self-devotion, and to me that's even better to talk about this topic because I was really thinking about over the past, I guess, week or a little over a week, I was thinking about the whole concept of self-love, and a lot of times people say like, make sure you do self-care rituals and self-care routines or whatever. So when y'all hear somebody say do a self-care ritual or routine, what does that feel like or look like to y'all?
Affirmations. Going to buy something that will make me feel better.
Yeah, a day of pampering.
Basically just doing something for myself that I enjoy doing.
It's basically, like I look at it like something for me to feel good.
Yeah, and I think when I think of self-care rituals and stuff, I think about that too, like it's something to make me feel good, but I also think about it more long-term in terms of not just a day of pampering, but like every day doing something for yourself. But with that, what I realize is it can be a routine. And so you're just doing it. You do things. I think we all do things to take care of ourselves. But are we loving ourselves? And so what I was making the comparison to was like a lot of times you have parents who, they going to work every day. They working so that they can put food on their table. They can put a roof over their children's head. They can put clothes on their back. And then sometimes you'll hear where, a kid might say, "Do you love me?" And the parent is like, "Do I love you? Why do you think I'm going out here every day busting my butt? To put this stuff on your back? Why do you think you got those shoes on?" So they've done all the ritual things, but for a child to ask, "Do you love me?" the question is, have they allowed the child to feel their love? So have they hugged them? Have they looked them in their eyes and said, "Oh my gosh, you're just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in life"? Do they make them feel the feeling of love versus the feeling of I'm doing a ritual to get you from point A to point B? And so as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about, do we do that for ourselves? Like, are we just going through the motions? Or do we make ourselves feel the feeling of being loved? And so am I, looking at my arms and saying, "Oh my gosh, they are just so beautiful." And just feeling the love for my arms, the appreciation for my arms, for my fingers, for my hair, for my eyes. Just like really taking time to love yourself and appreciate and manufacture that feeling of love and let it seep into your body. So I'm going to throw that question to you all. Like, do you all take the time to feel love? Does every cell in your body feel loved by you?
I would say I sometimes have to remind myself, to be honest, because I get so caught up in my everyday working and being a dad, and the times that I do catch myself, I'm like, okay, let's slow down. Take some time out for yourself. But when I do, I really I just like peace. Be by myself. I can be out in nature, sit on the porch, enjoy the air. Anything, reading, anything that just brings me some type of joy or a hobby that I like to do. It just brings, makes me feel good. But I say at least maybe maybe twice out the week. That I always do that for myself. Maybe need to do it more often.
And I feel you on that. Like that's typically how I would do it. But in that process of, okay, I feel good, are you feeling loved by yourself? So that's, to me, I'm trying to make a distinction that a lot of times I don't feel like we pour enough love into ourselves, where our very selves are feeling like, oh my gosh, you love me, versus you're doing something nice for me.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I'll be honest and say, nah, I don't think I do that enough for myself. And I think a lot of times we get, like you said, caught up going through the motions. And a lot of times we get caught up living for others, you know, not living for others, but like you said with the parents, like I'm living for, you know, I'm doing all this for my kids and things like that. And we get caught up in not loving ourselves. And I know for me, I got caught up in not like neglecting my self-love so much and living for others and all of that so much that I had to really ask myself, like, am I okay with being with just myself? Am I okay with just appreciating myself and who I am, that's like my authentic self, and not, I don't have to just feel good about myself when I do something for this person, or I don't have to just feel good about myself when I handle this thing. You know, like I had to ask myself, hey, do I really love me? And am I okay with just loving me? Like, you know, and am I okay with who I am when I remove all these outside things and just love on me? Am I okay with that? You know, so yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me it's I only do it, ironically, I only do it when I feel things are very bad. Like if life is tough at that moment, that's when I start doing it. Or like if I'm going through a breakup, then it's like, yeah, well, you know, you just need to take a little more time and actually love yourself and feel yourself, and like I feel it then, but only like when something negative has happened first. Like on a regular day to day, I'll never think about myself, honestly. Yeah, no, that's true. I never think about myself. I spend most of my day I'm either doing the activity or I'm thinking about the person that I'm doing the activity with. Never really, how do you feel when you're doing this, and do you love doing this, and do you love yourself? Like, yeah, no, it's really interesting. I never thought about that. I only ever do it when things are I do it when I feel I need it, I guess is what I'm noticing.
And that's the same with me. Like, you know, I tell y'all, like, I just gotta get away. No phone, no contact with anyone. Like, I just gotta get away and be with me. You know what I mean? And in reality, we shouldn't let it get to that point to where it's like, all right, I just need myself right now. I need to be with myself, and I need to love on myself, because something ain't feeling right now. You know? And so, like you said, we wait till it gets to that point where it's like, all right, I need to go. You know what I mean? When we can really wake up every day and love on ourselves, and it can take a quick little.
Yes.
I'm just in love. You know. So,
Yeah. And I really feel like loving yourself in that way is the greatest thing that you can do for humankind. I feel like when you love yourself that much, that's when you step into true enlightenment. When you know that you're worthy of it all, like a lot of times we'll say, you know, yeah, I deserve this, but do we know that we are worthy of it all? And when we love on ourselves that much, where we know that we're worthy of it all, then it all will show up for us, which is true enlightenment. And when you are in a state of true enlightenment, you have just made it so much easier for everybody else to follow right behind you. And so that's why I feel like self-love, self-devotion is the greatest gift that you can give to humankind.
I can get there because, it is like, I think I can get there completely because, again, everything that we see on the outside is usually a reflection of what's inside. So if I'm pouring all this self-devotion into myself, then in return, I'm going to see roses and peaches. So, yeah.
To go by what you were saying about knowing that we are worthy of everything, and a lot of times we feel like, for me to be worthy for this, I have to do this. Like you were saying to us, like we feel like we have to earn these things or earn our worth. Like a lot of times we say what we're worth, we say, okay, I got X, Y, Z, and this what I'm like. We look at it like what you bringing on the table. Like, all right, I'm laying this out. This is what I'm worth, and and really, like you said, is we're worthy of everything. And I think loving on ourselves like that, it helps in knowing that we are worthy of everything and anything.
And it's like the thing that I have learned is the more I can see my own divinity, the more I can see than everybody else. Like I'm not confused. I'm not confused on it. I'm not looking at you and thinking,
Look at it.
like I see your divinity.
And I know sometimes it's, rare occasions that I do it, but I do it. When I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror, and if I know that if I'm not really feeling, up to par, I'll sit back and I look at myself and be like, I love you, you're awesome, you're dope. And, I would say all of these amazing things that how I see myself, I would say it into the mirror, and so that way it makes me feel good, and then it's like I'm validating myself, but I notice when I do it, it's a really, really good, loving feeling, and then my whole day is just, it's awesome.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you go.
Oh, so I was gonna say, I remember one time we were doing this exercise years ago, and we were supposed to write things that we loved about ourselves or liked about ourselves, and back then, I was doing exactly what you said about what do I bring to the table, so to speak. Kind of like, oh, I'm nice and I'm smart and I'm hardworking, that type of thing. But anyway, I remember one of the people, she couldn't come up with anything, like absolutely nothing that she loved about herself. And so I say that, and even though we all could be like, we were all like, well, this and that, but she didn't see that in herself. But I say that because there probably are people that may be listening to the podcast who are like, well, I don't see anything to love about myself. But when you think about it, it's almost unlimited, the things that are love worthy about yourself. I mean, if you just really think like, dang, my eyes blink by themselves, like, what? Dang, my eyebrows grow. I don't even have to tell them to do it. Or, my heart is just beating on its own. Like the blood just know that it's supposed to flow up and down through my body. I got these kidneys that be doing, I don't even know what it does, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so many things that's within the human body. Like you can't name it all. Like your hormones that, just start working. I mean, you don't even have to think about it. And I guess what I'm saying is like, if we realize that, yes, we are this physical body that shows up every day, but we're so much more than that. And when you think of the so much more, like the energetic part of us that is looking through this part of us, I mean, it's just amazing. And so, but when we're only thinking of this part of us, just the physical part, which is what maybe 1% of who we really are, you can get stuck on what did I do right? What did I do good enough? Have I done things well enough? And there's nothing wrong with admiring yourself because you're a hard worker or you're very kind. It's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. Those are just extras. But it's not like that's the reason why you love yourself. Like you already, there's no reason to not love yourself.
I'm glad you went before me because I was having a live thought as we was talking, and I was like, it's kind of it's a distinction for me in the self-love or what I consider loving myself, because like I can do something in the outside and be like, yeah, you did that, you man, you it, like, you know, and that's totally different than me just being in love with my existence and my pure authentic self, and just being in love with me and really loving on myself and feeling that, you know, because on the other side, I'm loving that I was able to do this, that I was able to do this thing, and that's what I'm loving. But when I'm just loving me and I'm just feeling like it's nothing attached to that, it's just purely me loving who I am, you know. And so yeah, it's a distinction between those two things.
And I think it's a very important distinction. And when I realized that distinction was the first day that I loved myself. And I know I've told this story probably at least 20 times, but I mean, I remember the day, you know, I was living in Ohio, and I had this cute little apartment. The only time I ever lived alone in my life, but I was living in this apartment at Ohio State, and I was just really challenged with loving myself. I had always been challenged with loving myself. I didn't even think it was possible. But when I made that distinction between, like, am I loving myself for these things? And, you know, because I was like, the things I liked best about myself was that I was smart, that I was nice, and that I was cute. Right? and when I say cute, I don't mean cute like I thought I was pretty. What I was really saying was that I didn't think I could live if I had a defect, because it was like I don't want to go into the whole story, but it was a lady on TV that I had seen, and her face had gotten ripped off, and her face was just marred. Like, she had no face, but while she was on that television screen, to me, she was the most beautifulest thing I had ever seen. And I was like, how can she be like that? Like, if my face was burnt off, I could not be okay. So that was, seeing her was what got me thinking, like, I couldn't be okay if my face was marred. So when I say cute, I never thought I was cute, but I wasn't marred. And I was like, I couldn't be okay if I wasn't nice, and I couldn't be okay if I wasn't smart. And I had to work through each one of those things. Like, could I be okay if I wasn't these things? And I eventually came to the answer, yes, I could be okay, because those things don't define me. Like, it's so much more. I'm so much more than that. My purpose is so much bigger than that. And no matter how I show up in the world, I can love that, you know. So.
Can I be okay if I wasn't this handsome? Man, I can't imagine life.
You just can't.
Oh, no, I'm glad both of you made those points, because I do think it is super important to distinguish like self-devotion and also like enjoying the characteristics of yourself. For me, it was also very similar. It was, I like these qualities about myself, but I was never getting to I love myself. I was always, well, I love this about myself, I love that about myself. Never just I love myself. And it wasn't until like something like shaky in my life had happened, I was like, all right, you gotta figure something out, because the characteristics, you're not even showing them anymore. So what is it you here for?
Yeah, and with that, we're putting all these stipulations on when it's okay to love ourselves. Like, you know, I used to be like, you know, I used to feel that, like I said, with stipulations on it. So yeah, I can't love myself if I'm not successful, or I don't feel good about myself if I'm not doing this or making something happen, or, you know what I mean? So we put all these stipulations on when we can't love ourselves. we can just do that.
Right.
And we just can love who we are and our very soul and existence.
Right.
Yeah.
Unconditionally.
Unconditional.
I remember when I was in Maryland, living out there, and I finally understood what it was like to actually love myself. You know, for the first time ever, being the person that I had to do certain things to make me, you know, feel good about myself, but to love myself, it was a totally different experience. You know, it was like I'm like motherly love. It's just hard to explain. It's hard to explain it, but the feeling was. I used to smoke at one time, right? Used to smoke cigarettes. I know you probably like what?
No, you look like a smoker.
But I remember when I stopped, and it just came out of nowhere. But I always said that I wanted to stop because my parents, they used to smoke, right? But that was something that I wanted to do just because health-wise, and you know, I just wanted to keep myself up, you know. And not realizing it, eventually I stopped. And that time that I really was like in love with myself, I was like, dang, I'm loving myself. Like I'm not smoking, you know. I slowed down on the drink. I ain't say I quit drinking. I'm not.
Basically, you need the outside.
Yeah, I didn't need the outside, and that was my whole thought process. But I think that it really felt good, and I think it takes some time for people to really get there, because I think everybody's timing is different.
And I want to say that a lot of us love ourselves, but you can always love yourself more. Like you can always love yourself more. But the distinction I'm making today is not just to love yourself, but to feel the love that you're pouring into yourself. Like to take the time every day, if it's 2 minutes out the day, to just fill yourself up with your own love. And then, like, one thing that I said I was going to do, I haven't done yet. But, and I get a little wonky about this. All right, I'm going to have to take this back a little bit. Okay, so, like, sometimes, let's say if I go to get my nails done, and they don't do a really great job or something, right? So I'll get a little attitude, and I'll be like, if I was Michelle Obama, would you do this? You know, if I was Oprah, would you treat my nails like this, or would you do a better job? But I do myself like that. So let's just say if I was, I'm kind of making up something, but let's just say if I was fixing myself a meal, I might put it in any kind of plate. But if I was fixing you a meal, I'm gonna put it in my best plate, you know? And so I'm like, why am I treating myself, you know? You know, or if I'm sitting around the house, I might just throw on anything. But for you, I would make myself look a little better. So I get a little bit confused about that. Like, why don't I treat myself the way I treat other people? But at the same time, I'm saying, well, is that me giving myself a break? Like, I'm a little bit confused. But one thing that I wanted to start doing is, like, everything that I'm, let's say, putting into my body, I want it to be fit for a queen. Instead of, you know, like, I feel like I can eat anything I want. Like, I don't feel like anything on the outside of me can harm me. But I want to be more intentional about that. And so when I'm eating it, I want to make sure I'm taking a moment to transform the molecules in whatever that thing is, so that it's now fit for a queen. You know, if that means praying over the food or whatever the case may be, however, it's whatever you think it would take to change these molecules into something that's going to nourish me, because this is now going to become a part of me. So I want to make sure that this thing is going to be light, filled with light. So I want to take a moment to fill my food with light before I put it in my body, because everything that touches me, because I'm worth that much. So I ain't did that yet.
I like that.
But that's what I want to do.
I like that.
Yeah, I love that we was able to make that distinction, you know. Being happy with ourselves and it being stipulations on that from outside things, and then to decipher that from really loving ourselves and feeling the love of, hey, I just love who I am in my existence.
Yes.
Unconditionally.
Yep. So that's the one distinction. And then the second distinction is, once you get there, to really take the time every day to fill yourself up. To fill yourself up so that you can feel the love
Right.
from yourself. All right, self-devotion. All right, guys. Thank you. I enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you for bringing it.
And thank you guys for joining us as well. And we look forward to chatting with you again soon. Until then, this is Arvat.
Well, this is Steven.
Rodney.
Teron.